So the Economist just dropped this article and then this video talking about franchising, and it's interesting. I'm gonna share my thoughts. I'm gonna play the video, but share my thoughts, add a little context from my perspective to a few things. But it's cool to see a publication like the Economist spotlighting franchising like this. So let's go ahead and take a look.
Can running a McDonald's make you a millionaire? Campaigning politicians love to tell you about their experience flipping burgers.
I'm going for a job right now at McDonald's.
I worked at McDonald's.
Somehow I doubt that.
But to really sell voters on the American dream, perhaps they should focus more on the people who are running the joints. 95% of American McDonald's restaurants are franchises, where a company licenses its brand to an independent owner-operator, usually for an upfront fee and a share of revenue. The model began spreading across America in the 1950s. In the 1970s and 80s, it was overlooked by economists who considered it little more than a cheap growth tactic. But the model worked. Through its franchises, McDonald's has plausibly created more millionaires than any firm in history. And it's not just the Golden Arches. There are close to 850,000 franchise establishments in America, run by around 250,000 owners. They employ around 9 million people and generate about 3% of GDP. The reasons for their success...
Yeah, I don't think most people realize how massive franchising is in the U.S. I mean, you just heard it there, 850,000 unique franchise locations, 250,000 unique franchise owners, employs 9 million people, 3% of the GDP. I mean, it's huge, and it's so much more than burgers and fries. I think the video mentions it a little bit later, but there's franchise business opportunities in just about any industry you can think of, and most of them are not on people's radar. People that are exploring business ownership, and they're not looking at this giant sector of the U.S. economy that is built for people that want to own their own business.
Franchises work because they align incentives and divide labour. The franchisor saves money on monitoring staff and gains local knowledge. The franchisee benefits from brand recognition and nationwide marketing. And in America, strong intellectual property rights protect franchise brands, while deep capital markets make it easy for franchisees to borrow to acquire the initial investment, which can be around $1 million.
Yeah, quick clarification there. For a lot of franchises, including McDonald's, the investment can be $1 million. McDonald's is probably 3 or 4 million at this point when you factor in the real estate and the build out and everything that goes into that. But what I think a lot of people are not aware of is, again, there's tons of franchises outside of the food and beverage industry, a lot of which require a far less initial investment, less access to capital. And there's a whole subsector of franchising that doesn't require real estate or brick and mortar at all. And these less expensive franchises, generally speaking, are not any less scalable. The upside is still there. In a lot of ways, you could argue that some of these service-based businesses that don't operate out of a storefront are actually more scalable than most of your storefront models are. So, this notion that, franchises are unaffordable to get into, and that they're, the less expensive ones are not real business opportunities is just not accurate at all. People are blown away when they realize just how many different types of franchises there are and the potential that these franchise businesses allow if the model's executed properly, especially some of the lower cost franchises.
Franchises have long appealed to immigrants in particular. Around 2/3 of American motels are owned by Indian Americans, many descended from Gujaratis who bought Super 8 and Travelodge franchises in the 1980s. For young people today, the model looks even more attractive. Rising tuition fees and the emergence of artificial intelligence have prompted renewed interest in people-focused ways of making a living. Franchises are even expanding into new areas, like Pilates and childcare. In the age of AI, keeping customers happy in McDonald's could just be the smartest way to make a million.
I agree with all that. It's interesting to me how the Economist seems to think that franchising, expanding out of food and beverage is a new thing. They use Pilates and childcare as an example. I mean, there's franchise brands that have been around for 20, 30 plus years in both of those examples, and guarantee you they've made tons of millionaires. So yeah, I mean, it's completely underrated. I don't really know why franchising doesn't get talked about more. I mean, it's cool to see the Economist highlight it, but it's also curious that they're like positioning this as like it's all something new. These franchises have been around for a long time. There's 250,000 franchise owners across the country. And it's important to understand that at the end of the day, when you buy into a franchise, it's still business ownership. There's still risk involved. There is no guarantee of success. So yes, you will be able to look and see no shortage of examples of people that have become millionaires, multimillionaires, built incredible wealth through franchising. People buy and sell franchise businesses all the time. So, a lot of people become very wealthy when they exit and sell their franchise businesses, but people have also failed in franchises. There's downside that you need to understand. And, I think one of the biggest things to understand is that it still takes work. It still takes effort. A profitable business is not going to materialize in front of you just because you bought into a franchise. And I think the biggest thing a lot of people struggle with if they do try to explore franchising is just cutting through the noise that's out there. There's thousands and thousands of franchise opportunities out there. So when you start going online and researching, it becomes overwhelming very quickly. So if this has not been on your radar and now you're curious and want to learn more about franchising and what types of franchises are out there and whether or not it could be a fit for you, if it has somewhat been on your radar and you've tried to do some research and couldn't get past, some of the surface level online research, that's what I do. That's what I'm here for. I own franchises. I've sold franchises. I've worked for franchisors. So I help people navigate this whole process. First and foremost, I help people get clear on what it is they really want to get out of business ownership, what the characteristics of the ideal business for them would look like. And then we work together to identify some specific franchises that align. And from there, it's just, asking the right questions. And through that process, you're going to learn how franchising works, and you're going to learn if it could, in fact, be the right path for you to make that move into business ownership. So I'll make sure there's a calendar link somewhere here in this post, wherever you're seeing it, and would love to chat with you if this is something you're curious and want to learn more about.